Yes.
Yes.
Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Heart of the Equation. This one, I am sitting with Pragati and we have a hot topic to cover today. And this is about job market in Switzerland. It would be relevant to you if you're an expat, so you're not really a local who was born and raised here. It could be relevant to you if you're from here, you've been here for a while, but you want to learn more about the international job market. So the topics we're going to talk about is actually a lot. It's going to be about the job market generally, but also about Switzerland because Pragati is an expert in that. So handing to Pragati, let's start.
Hello, hello. It's so much of a passionate topic for me because of course I've been through the entire journey with a lot like a lot of expats have, but I actually went ahead and wrote a whole book on it. I was I used to think, this was the number one question that I used to, and yeah, for our audience, I also run, my Instagram account gained a lot of popularity a couple of years ago when I was talking a lot about the expat topics, and then people from all over the world were discovering because I was giving a lot of tips around expat living. And the number one question that I would get in my DMs for people living in Switzerland and from people living out of Switzerland was, how do I find a job here? And I was like, hey, I need to talk very openly about this, and which is what people don't do. They act at times, there is this, you don't want to kind of be vulnerable about uh, your job, especially because there's so many taboos around it. But I thought that it was a very refreshing idea to speak about this topic openly because so many people struggle. And till kind of bring it to the forefront and say, hey, it's very normal. It's not happening just to you, it's happening to everyone. All of us have been on in this boat. And because of this situation, I developed some coping mechanisms, some strategies, ways and means that worked for me. And of course, there were things where, I could bang my head against the wall and I was like, okay, I give up. There were days when I was like, okay, I give up. And this was during my first year in Switzerland. So I think for anyone who's listening and is new in the country, you are not alone. I also run like a job seeker support group because it's that much of an issue in this country, that I can this is something that I can say very confidently, that any job seeker in the market in Switzerland who's been at it for really a long time, and a long time can be like 6 months can be long for someone and 6 years can not be long for another person, so it's all relative. But if you are in this situation and you feel like, oh, this is just so disheartening, don't worry, you're not alone. There are a lot of people with you riding in the same boat. And the positive thing that I always want to say is that I am kind of the poster child of this.
Yeah.
It does work.
Yeah.
If you're resilient, if you are at it, if you use the right strategies, if you take care of your mental health, you will make it. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure you will.
Yes, and also your blog, because I've worked in coaching in this area of career coaching, and I knew a lot of people who work in this area. But your blog was the most honest place to talk about these things from the point of view a person who's actually searching for jobs, getting them, working in them, and you did really well when you were at Accenture. You led teams. When the way you found that job, the way you stayed in it, and then later on you changed that job. I mean, you're in a you're having a new challenge right now. You're in a new position, but you talked about your challenges. Most people would feel scared to talk
Yeah.
about it online, and I think one of the reasons that your platform really worked was that you were talking about things that a lot of people like to hear about it. A lot of people had a stigma around some topics. It's a very vulnerable place to look for a job, I think, especially in a country like Switzerland, which is very performance obsessed.
Yes.
So when you're searching for a job, you're not still making the income. You're like, the companies are like this big power and you're this little one trying to show that you're the right fit. It's so tough. I have, my heart goes to everyone who's
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've been there and I know you know, and it's been 9 years since I'm in this, I moved to Switzerland, a little bit over 9 years, I would say. And I can distinctly still remember how I used to feel. You know, as humans, we forget a lot of these harsh periods.
yeah.
And it's good. It's good that we do. But there are certain feelings that have still stayed with me. And, well, good. Made good content out of it.
Yeah. Turning lemons into lemonades. That's what you're very good at.
But I'm glad, you know, I was documenting this part of life, and that's why, like you said, you know, it was very relatable. People found a lot of empathy. There was no sympathy over there. They found a lot of empathy that, hey, you know, it's normal to feel, you know, to have all of these feelings. And let's be honest, like, you cannot disassociate. Like, work becomes such a big part of you, not your
Yeah.
life, but a big part of you. It becomes such a big part of you that it's very natural when you're not getting your, you know, you're not able to kind of do what you really want to do, or, you know, kind of add value, create an impact. It is so disheartening. I mean, it's a very natural feeling to, you know, like, kind of be like, oh, I'm not getting through, what's wrong with me? And then you start questioning yourself. That's why in the book I have written a whole chapter on mental health and how to take care of yourself, because finding a job is a job.
Yes, exactly. That is so
It
true. And yes,
is a very
this is,
challenging job.
yes, that is so true. And also, this is underestimated because a lot of times people also have to search for jobs when they have something else going on in their lives. They might even already be in a job that they know it's going to
Mm.
end at some point. So it's like something you do in the evenings or in your free time. It could be very draining.
It is really very draining. I mean, people who are, it really, it's commendable when you are in a job and you are looking for another one. Because I was just talking to a colleague from my previous organization, by the way. So I am doing this podcast today as a non-Accenture person because just till the last podcast, I was still, you know, still in consulting and still at Accenture. But in from my former employee, I have a colleague that was you know, kind of, our mentorship relationship is still ongoing. And she told me that it's one of the hardest things that she's doing right now is that she's also looking for a job while being in the consulting industry and working part time. So it's really, really hard. She's a new mother. So there's also life happening around us when
Yeah.
we are looking for a job. You're taking care of your families, you might have young children at home, you might be caregiving, you might be in another situation, you might be running another, like a small business or something, but you still want to, you know, kind of find a job. So there's life's happening and you're looking for a job. So
Yeah.
we have to really give it like, oh, what are you doing? Well, I'm looking for a job, and that's a really big job.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, let's get into some of, like, I can tell you very openly, when I came to Switzerland, the good thing that I probably did was that I still think that that was one of the best things that I did. It's very normal that I was already in the corporate world for the last 12 to 13 years when I had just moved here. And it's very natural that, you know, you go from one job to the next one. But I was like, hey, life's giving me an opportunity. I'm going to do a master's. And that was really, really helpful. And why I talk about it is because it makes your application stronger.
Yeah.
um, I really, this was on my, like, my professional bucket list. We all have our professional bucket lists as well, right? So it was on my list, and just because life was happening and you start earning money and you have a family and there are a lot of things, da 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 da, and then I was not able to do a master's when I was back home in India, because, and I had already worked in product and industry organizations by then. And I was like, okay, come on, life's giving me a chance. Let me do this just for the, even if I get nothing out of it, which I was sure that I would, but I don't want to stagnate doing the same role again and again and again. It was very easy to get into that. So I did a master's. That's, by the way, the same place I teach now.
Yeah, so crazy, but it's how things work
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. So life's such a full circle, and you need to allow life to give you these moments where you are open to new things happening to you. So I mean, I
Yeah,
would have never imagined, right? I very unidimensional when I came to Switzerland, and then all of these areas have opened up. But yeah, if there is an opportunity to do, to really invest time, if you have the time, add a lot of skills, learn the language, go for a higher degree program if you can. It depends on, it's a personal situation thing, but it does make your application very strong.
yeah.
So I mean, end of the day, I have studied from a Swiss institute, and that does help in your overall job. How credible you are in the Swiss job market. It's nice to have also been in the system, and have you have gotten a degree from one of the Swiss institutes, so it does help as well.
Yes, that's actually, this is something actually maybe we can get into the Swiss job market because it is a very special market.
Yeah,
It's also a very attractive market, especially we have certain industries that are so strong despite everything that's happening in the world. They're doing very well. And once actually you have a job, there is a level of stability. I think that there are a lot of bonuses, but it's also not the kind of job market that everyone can easily get into. You
yeah,
have to play by the rules. And there is something, maybe it's my personal understanding, is that if someone is an expat coming to Switzerland, you always seen like with a bit of suspicion,
yeah,
maybe, like, are you up to the standards? But when someone has studied in this environment, they kind of trust you more, that you have better understanding of the rules, just the communications in a business environment, especially in entry level jobs, I would
yeah,
say.
yeah,
But in like mid level and higher level jobs is a bit different. Actually, it might be totally the other way around. But there is a little bit of that, and in some jobs, in medical jobs, in teaching jobs, it's very difficult to get into if you're not like from
of
Switzerland.
course, of course.
But even in like the global companies, like, I work for a global company, they usually get a lot of foreigners, but even there, they pay attention to certain criteria. Like language could be helpful, but it's okay if you can't speak it, but
Yeah,
openness to learn it. Having studied in a European university, it's better actually if it's a Swiss university. These are like some of the things that really matter, and of course, relationships and who referred you. I think that's also something.
yeah,
What
yeah.
do
I
you
think
think?
you need to start I mean, up your game on relationships. And this has to become like a natural thing for you. Even if it's not, you have to put yourself out there, and there is no other way. And you can start really small. Like when I had just moved here, I was not okay with this. Like, because at least back home in India, what had worked for me, I had, of course, changed a couple of jobs. And what had really worked for me is the traditional, you see a job opening on a website or on LinkedIn or a job board or whatever, you apply, you get called for an interview if your profile matches, like the very traditional method. But in Switzerland, things work very differently. People really, really value relationships. If you've met someone, maybe years down the line, and this is very culturally too. Maybe years down the line, they'll still remember what you do if you've left that impact, if you've maintained that relationship. And a couple of years later, they see a role where, hey, I think this person could be a great fit. They call them. You So the only thing networking does is open doors for you. Now, how you kind of then fruitify that opportunity is, again, your talent, your skills, everything that you do. I would never say that just because you had like a strong relationship with someone who was sitting in the hiring manager position, the job is yours. No,
Yeah.
you will still have to jump through the hoops of multiple rounds of interviews and having the right skills and etc., and proving yourself during the recruitment process and then getting the job. So, but it opens doors. Networking does open doors, and I realized this so much that I developed my own network, right? also created one where more and more women can kind of come together and help each other, whether it was looking at smaller jobs or at like these large corporate jobs, or looking at entrepreneurship and kind of learning from each other. But it's really, people need people, so there's no, it's not a, I wouldn't say it's such a bad thing if,
Yeah, I
you
actually
know.
like it. It just
Yeah,
makes everything more authentic, I think.
yeah,
In every country, it's important to have those relationships, but I think Switzerland is especially a country that your personal relationships, your connections, matter. And also, it's not that you go to this party and you hand cards with each other. We are not into surface level relationships in this country. It's
yeah,
really about what you have, what insight you have. Person really deeply connects with you, and you're not desperate to get something from them. It's really an authentic relationship that develops.
yeah,
And then there will be times that they remember you with something, and they know that you're open to it, so something would come out of that relationship. So it is a very natural human relationship, I would
yeah,
say.
yeah,
Is
absolutely.
But it is very important here. And also something, I might be wrong because I have not applied for jobs myself. I just want to
In
be
years.
honest with I've had my business for some years, and also before that, when I was in corporate, I had all the jobs I had through, again, relationships.
Yeah,
And so I'm not very good with all these platforms, but I also hear from a lot of clients who went through job challenges in the last few months. They apply like for 100 jobs, 200 jobs, 400 jobs. These are the numbers I'm hearing. And they're not hearing anything. And then when the opportunity occurs, is really true. Somebody calls them, and then
yeah,
there is like, I really don't know what is happening with the job market right now. I just know that a lot of these jobs are announced because they just have to do it legally. Some are real jobs, some are like even the company doesn't know, will we take the person or not? So there is a lot of confusion around that.
yeah.
So what is your suggestion to a person who's searching and they don't know anything other than like going on these platforms and sending their CVs?
Yeah, probably I'm going to give my example as well again in this one. But let's call a spade a spade. At the moment, the Swiss job market is not the easiest to conquer. So
Totally
if you're
agree.
someone, yeah,
Yeah.
so if you're someone who's struggling, we see you, we know you, we know that this has been one of the most challenging years globally.
Yeah.
And it's not just in Switzerland, we are seeing it everywhere. This is the geopolitical situation. And just before we started recording the podcast, I was telling Sarah that I was speaking to a bunch of people and we were talking about all of these struggles. And what I mentioned over there was also, you have all of these people who are super talented, mid career level, even senior management, who are out in the market looking for jobs because there have been so many reorgs. So many people have been, kind of, they have been let go from their current organization. So you have this really talented set that has worked extensively in Switzerland, also in the market, competing with you. Then you have a new batch of fresh expats that keep coming in, and you have the trailing spouse in that group. This is where I was when we had just moved here. You have fresh graduates every time, and again, there are some over here which are mid-career level, because when you're doing an MBA or a master's and then you are graduating. I have so many connections with people in IMD, one of the best institutes globally, recognized globally. So IMD
Yeah.
Lausanne is one of the best, and a lot of them last year who graduated, extremely talented, but had to go back to their home countries because they could not find a job in Switzerland, or found jobs around Switzerland in Europe somewhere because they really wanted to stay back. But maybe a handful of them actually got a job in Switzerland. And that's the dream, right? That's what they came with. So it's tough. The job
Yes.
market has been tough. But I have to also say that the first job that I got in Switzerland after I graduated, and I had sent out, I think, around 100 applications. So this is
Oh,
not, this is not just a saying, but I actually had. And then one of them worked. And I was called for an interview in IBM. So this was the traditional conservative approach of finding a job on LinkedIn and then applying. And I did a very good job, I think, with my application. Maybe we should talk about that as well.
Mhm.
Of how do you do a good job at your application? And I was called for an interview, and I jumped through a couple of hoops. I think there were 4 or 5 rounds of interviews, and that's how I got my first job. Now, the second job that I got at Accenture, the first one was at IBM. The second one that I got at Accenture was because of a relationship. Uh, that, we knew someone. I went and just had a coffee with them. They thought I was great, and that's how they said, "Oh no, we would love for you to, interview for this position that we have." And then, I stayed again at Accenture for 6 years, and it was a great learning experience.
Yeah.
And my third job now is built on years and years of experience of a relationship with people at the university that I work at now. So it's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
I can't say that, hey, if you are seeing great openings, some of them are just there. Let's be honest, some of them are just there because they have to be there, but some of them are genuine. I
Yeah.
have been hired that way. And there was a time in, I think, 2023 when I was kind of thinking of switching jobs, but I didn't because, I decided because of professional reasons that I wanted to continue still wherever I was. But at this point in time, I applied for maybe five. I made 5 quality applications with ChatGPT as my assistant, and I got 3 out of 5 calls to come and have an interview, and then all of them worked out. It's just
Hmm.
that I decided that I didn't want to move ahead with any of these offers. So it's a mixed bag, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe there are
I wouldn't.
signals that you can identify which ones are legitimate or which ones they are just, collecting information for the talent pool for some days.
Yes, yes. So I would say that try. Don't be disheartened with the 100, maybe the 101st.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
gonna be the. It's gonna. Are they? If your CV really matches, their requirements, and they are really looking for someone, it might work out. So don't give hope. Like completely, be hopeless about. Hey, there's no point applying like this.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I've also talked to some HR people. I actually worked with some HR people on a different topic.
Mhm.
They wanted to grow their own businesses, but I also learned that for the HR person, they also want to, when it's a legitimate job opening, they
Yeah,
also have a target. They also want to find the right person and fill it up. And it's not, they're also searching. So when there is a real opening,
yeah,
it's
it
important
works.
also for them that if you're right for the job, they really want to take you. It's not that there is like they're not against you, but it's really, I think, down to someone really knowing, being very aware of their skills, their experience, being able to explain it in the resume way, and also targeting the right jobs that they can at least come a little closer to the.
Yeah. And one of the things that I would also like to say is that when you're applying, uh, and men do this more than women, what they do is, even if there are 50% match, they will
Mm.
apply. And women are a little bit more picky.
Yeah,
And
I'm like that too. I would say like if it's like 100%, then I would.
yes, yes. And, some recruiters always say that, no, women should be more like, we'll learn this and that. You will not even be shortlisted. So for me, I was always very picky with the openings that, and this is also something that, I kind of learned along the way. A is, of course, to be picky and pick up positions which are really authentic, like in the sense that they are close to what you have been doing or what you can bring to the table. So 80-90%, yeah, I would say yes, let's apply. It cannot be like 100% match, because there are always new things that you learn at a job. Because I came from a background where I worked with product companies like SAP, Oracle, and then I did industry, I did Unilever, I did Johnson and Johnson, Nestle, and then I came into the consulting round. So it can't be that I knew everything that we had to do at consulting, because I brought in a very client specific angle. Whereas as consultants, we are service providers, and your entire you change, you're changing seats completely. So there is a lot of stuff that you learn at any new job, because every organization is quite unique in its way of working. But yeah, if you're bringing the right skills, I would say apply. But if someone's, just for an example, is asking for a particular niche skill like SAP SD, or say like a supply chain particular function, like it would be in your industry, then if you don't come from that area, if you don't have the experience, and then you sit in an interview like that, it's a time, it makes no sense. And people can see through it when you've lied on your CV.
Yes, yes, that's so
So
true.
evident.
I totally agree actually, because although I didn't apply for many jobs, but I've interviewed people, and it was
Yes.
usually after the HR has a screen. So I could also see, yes, in certain industries like IT supply chain, there is a lot of hands-on thing you're supposed to know. And these industries, these sectors are very fast-paced. Most of the time, you're being hired because they desperately need someone. They're
Yeah.
already making the most use of their teams. They do their best not to hire because it's expensive. So if they come to the point that they are hiring someone, not always, most of the time, they really need someone who can actually move the needle and help.
Yeah.
So either you really show openness and willingness to learn from your attitude, from the way that you're curious and you will go learn very quickly, you show evidence for that, or you kind of know that you already know like what this is about. Because
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is something that everybody should, like, people get very disheartened that, oh, I was rejected. But also know that, and you and I both have been on the other side, where we were really desperately trying to, hire someone, and it took so long because we were not able to find the right person.
yes, exactly. It's so frustrating actually.
Yeah,
You need to fill
yeah,
it up, you need to answer. The work is already being distributed among others and they're doing like half assing it, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's not
yeah.
good. Yeah.
It's not, yeah, yeah, yeah. So always remember that when you do reach that interview stage and you are sitting in front of the hiring manager, he or she also really wants this to work out.
Yeah.
So don't question that intent. There is an intent, unless they've, internally decided and they are just doing it for the formality. Sometimes that happens. That's bad luck. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it can, and it has happened to me that, I was made to do 5 rounds in an organization, in a pharma company, and then at the end they went ahead with a candidate in the US, and I was like, why did I jump through 10 hoops to, and there
Yeah.
were 10 rounds of interviews, 10 rounds, and I was like, this is a program manager position. It's not even like a C level or a partner or something like this, that you make me do 10 rounds. So sometimes you have these, I would say, like, unlucky situations, but in general the hiring manager or the team that wants this new person also wants to really make it work. So yeah, you need to exhibit the right qualities, bring in the right skill set, show that right attitude, that willingness to learn, and then
Yeah.
people see through it. People can see through, your authenticity to and your passion.
Yes, exactly. For me personally, now I have my own business. I mostly hire people on short term, but the moment, I see someone who's just trying to pushing for how good I am, I mean, I already know you're good. It becomes a little too much of like, I'm this, I'm that. It actually doesn't help, I think.
Yeah.
I would rather see them like they have listening skills, they have openness to learn about this business, like how I do things, and they're not there to patronize me. They're there that we will work together. So I think for me personally, of course, different hiring situations are different, but even also in my corporate job, when you hire for a team, you want that person to also work in harmony with the team. So sometimes I think like people want to show how good they are in their skills and they go a little overboard. So they come across as someone that like, oh, this is too much for a team.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Absolutely. Shall we talk a little bit about a good application?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, let's do that. So, of course, let me do a little plug-in for the book. When you will have detailed chapters on each of these, different situations that you have when you are applying for a job. And there's a whole chapter that I've written actually about Gen AI as well, of how you can use
Yeah,
ChatGPT.
I love that.
And there was a question in one of the job seeker meets that I have, is like, now that everybody is using ChatGPT, what what should I not use it, so that my application turns out to be more genuine? See, we are in this time where, whether we accept it or not, generative AI is going to stay with us. And you still need to, you bring in a very unique thing, that you are, being human now is unique, and is something that you bring to the table. And so you need to start working with ChatGPT, not against it. And not just ChatGPT, whatever other tools that people are using. I mostly use ChatGPT more. That's why that comes through my,
yeah,
when
and I
I
think it's
speak
one
at
of the
all.
best
It's
right
one of
now.
the
It's
best.
actually
And, we always have one tab open. I think you and I will both have one tab open
yeah,
right now. So let's not lie. It's fine. I mean, and you need to really make it work for you. And the more you work with it, the better you get at your prompts, and the better you get at you know the tone kind of matching yours, and all of this happens. But yeah, what I never let ChatGPT do was to write my CV. I think I had a really nice CV from the beginning, and I've always used versions of it. I tailor my application every time I am applying for a job. I think everybody should do that. That's why people who make 20 applications a day, I wouldn't trust them, because then they're sending the same CV for everything. And that's counterproductive. You have spent all this time, but what you did was not very, and you are getting these auto rejects very quickly, because you did not do your diligence of comparing the job description and your CV, and making it kind of in a state where, whether a human is reading it or the ATS is reading it, you are getting filtered in. Of course, we mentioned the first point, that this, you need to have a good match. The job
yes,
description and you, there is a match, and that's why you're applying for this position. So what I always tailor in my CV is the professional. The first 4 or 5 bullets that I always write is, what are the professional qualifications, and how I am really, so that beginning of your CV is something that you can look at tailoring. Um, of course, there are so many tips on CV, so I won't go into the details of it, but that's something that I do take assistance of ChatGPT. I write a cover letter and don't skip the cover letter. A lot of people are like, should we do it? Should we not? I don't know. It's a 50-50. Some people read it in some organizations, some don't. But everybody asks you to upload it on their website or wherever it is.
mm,
So don't skip the cover letter. Write it. With ChatGPT, it's so much easier now, because you can feed it the job description, you can feed it your CV of what you're going to be sending, which is your application packet, and then like ChatGPT spews out some answer. You don't have to go with it. Like, we are still, the more intelligent one. So use it as a draft, and then customize it, change things. So most of the people who are sending out applications are using the tool. Why do you want to lag behind? Use the
yeah,
tool. Use the tool to your advantage, because you're more productive. When there was no chat GPT in the picture, and I was sending out applications, I would maybe send out one a day or two a day, because it takes you so long to kind
yes,
of
exactly.
make sure that you are sending the right CV out, you're writing the cover letter, you're putting in all your certificates, or in some cases where you need it. But with ChatGPT, you can send in more applications because you're more productive. And this, it requires a lot of your, you are using your intellect also when you are sending out applications. So make sure you're putting an effort in it. When you put an effort, it shines through. They can see it. So that would be some of like my top tips, that don't give up on AI.
Yeah,
Because if nobody else is. So, the pool that you will be competing with, they are using it. So use it, but then still keep it human. I don't know if that makes sense. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Using is much better than firstly starting with a blank page and
Canvas. Yeah.
spending 2 hours like, where should I? The good thing with AI is that, okay, it doesn't have emotion and things like
Yeah.
that, but it can read through the way you put words together. There is an algorithm, how things are being perceived. And then there is also something else. These days, all these job applications, they go through this ATS system.
Yeah. Yeah.
It reads keywords. It is the AI built in most of these company applications. So when you give it to AI, I think it makes it more suitable for that kind of system. You can even ask ChatGPT to make it more ATS optimized.
Friendly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've heard from. I mean, I don't do it myself, but I've heard from people that doing this,
Yeah.
writing the
Yeah.
right prompts, and
For
then of
me, I
course,
keep it very human. There's still, elements in my CV that I wrote years ago because things happened years ago in my CV that I still want them to be there. Professional summary is something that I change. Cover letter is something that I use. Keywords. It's important that you have in the right keywords because, like you said, if it is going through the ATS system, and I was reading a LinkedIn post yesterday and they were like, no, 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 we go through every app, we go through every application that we receive. Come on. We also know that that's not humanly possible anyway, because in Switzerland, one position comes out and there are 500 applicants for it.
yeah,
So I think a recruiter's job is not easy either. The one
no,
who's
gosh,
doing the first first round of filtering is not easy either. So of course they are using AI, just like we are using AI. But every if you have used too much of AI and you are not projecting a true image of who you are, like we said before, it will come across in the first round of your interview. So
yes,
be careful
exactly.
of how much, know the limit of how much is too much.
Yes, 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 exactly. It's also someone, over making some jobs they did bigger than what it is because AI also tends to do that. It has some biases,
Yes.
and I would check and make sure that I mean, not that I'm underpresenting myself, but that you also do not promise something that you cannot deliver because it will
Absolutely.
end up in some kind of trouble at some point. It's going to push you too much. It's going to challenge you, and yeah, so this is something to pay attention to.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
these are, I think, some of the tips. And yeah, you can probably, we will link up the guide as well in our, the
The
blog
show
that we
notes
have.
and everywhere.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so you can download the guide. It's also available on Kindle now for a much lower price.
Oh,
So
I like to have it on Kindle. So I'm going to, because I'm a Kindle reader, I really like to have everything with me when I'm traveling. This is really like, I mean, not because you're my friend and we are here, I really recommend everyone who's searching for jobs, especially in Switzerland, to read this book because this is one of the very few resources that you will find with like honest real person experience. 90% of the resources people find when they are doing job searching is
yeah.
either career coaches, like, I mean, I'm not one, but I work with a lot. They're amazing, but they may not know all the details of like little things that comes
Yeah.
to be in the other side of the problem. And also there are also a lot of books on Amazon that are mostly written by American British people for
Yeah.
the whole world job market. There are some nuances here, like something that would work very well in an American or British job market
Yeah.
would get you in trouble here. So if you really want a job here, please go read this book. If I knew another resource, I would also recommend that. But the
Yeah.
only one I know right now from you that I know how much experience you have is this one. So yeah, I really invite everyone to go check this book.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we just, when you were talking about this, I remember just the way we write CVs in Switzerland is so different. So
Yeah.
come on. I mean, it's a very different landscape. I would never put out a resource out if I didn't feel that there was enough and more information available on this. You will find a lot of blogs and you will find all these LinkedIn posts, but this kind of consolidates it. There is a lot of wisdom that is from career coaches and recruiters and agencies that I have worked with. also in the book. So yeah, I think it's a unique perspective because the market is very, very different, and the rules of the game are a little bit different.
Yes,
So
totally.
we didn't talk about interviews and stuff, but yeah, we could talk about this topic for another hour, I know. But maybe check out the book, and maybe we will do something just for interview prep in
Yeah,
one of our next
I
episodes.
think we should do an episode about it because this is quite a topic. We definitely
It's
need
so
to do
hot. Yeah,
something
yeah,
about it.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I see we've gone a little over time because this I think those who are listening to this, they know how practical it is, so it's okay to go a little. But thank you, Pragati, for writing this book finally and bringing it to the market. And I really hope everyone who's reading this book actually finds the job they really meant to do, a job that is bringing also a lot of joy to them
Yeah.
and creates impact in this world. So, yeah, thank you very much for listening to this episode. So, goodbye from my side.
Goodbye, guys. Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thanks for listening to The Heart of the Equation. If this episode has sparked something for you, we'd love to hear about it.
Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and connect with us on LinkedIn and Instagram to continue the conversation.
And if you know someone who is navigating their next career step, share this episode with them. It could be exactly what they need.
We see you next time as we explore more about leading with purpose, resilience, and authenticity.
Let's keep growing together.